Hi farm friends, we're going to do our fourth activity in our Woolly Family activity bag, and it is our needle felting. So the supplies you need are your bag of colored wool, the pad that we've given you, and tucked in here are your needles, so we can pull those out, and then the cookie cutter. So you're going to start by taking your wool out of your bag, and just like we did in all of our other activities, you're going to want to make sure that you make it nice and fluffy to use it. So it comes out in nice long strings. This is called roving. You want to just pull off a good amount, and we're going to pull it apart just like we've done in all of our other activities. And even though this looks like a lot of wool, you're going to need that to get started because it's going to condense down. So we're going to put this right in here, and you're going to just sort of try to fit it inside your cookie cutter. And just like we say in our instructions, these are very, very sharp needles and very, very delicate. So that very end part will snap off if you aren't careful, and it'll also hurt your finger. And we're just going to start by poking in the middle to try to get some of our fibers to start to stick together. And you're going to be very careful again of those edges. And you see my fingers are outside so that I don't poke them. And it's just a matter of poking a whole bunch of times. It's kind of therapeutic if you're feeling a little cranky. And make sure you get those edges so that you can get definition. We chose the little gingerbread man cookie cutter because it's kind of fun, and it doesn't have a lot of details, so as you're doing this you're not losing your details. If you get a more intricate cookie cutter, sometimes you have a little bit of trouble seeing them when you're done. So the other thing to keep in mind is that you need to take the whole thing and flip it over, because what happens is those little wool fibers get stuck, and it doesn't look like anything yet, but we got to keep going. So we flipped the whole cookie cutter with the wool over, and we're just going to keep going. And at some point you're going to decide what you like. You might like a looser gingerbread man or a much denser, tighter one. And as you can see, we started with a whole bunch of wool and it was super fluffy and kind of coming out of our cookie cutter. But now it's right in there, like half as thick as it was. And again, go around those edges so you can define those edges. And right down the middle. So you can see that it's about half as thick as it was. I think it's about time to flip it over again. As you can see, you've got the pretty good shape there. So we're just gonna flip the whole thing over. You could just take the cookie cutter and flip the wool part over, but it's just easier if you turn the whole thing, then you know you've actually gotten all the wool together. Concentrate on the spots that you feel like are super thick. And you can see that this side is very smooth and this side is nice and fluffy. That's because it's connected to the pad underneath. So you're leaving those little fuzzy bits behind when you flip it over. So again, it's all in your personal preference. If you like it to be kind of fuzzy, you can go ahead and leave it fuzzy. So that's looking pretty good. The other thing you can do is very carefully go around the edges outside of the cookie cutter, making sure your fingers stay far away, especially if you're doing this with kids, and just clean up those edges. This is a chance to maybe snap off your needle, so just be very careful of where your fingers are and where that needle is. And you can flip it over and kind of do the same thing on the other side. The other fun thing to do, if you happen to have some wool yarn, you need wool yarn. You can't use any of the plastic yarns, the synthetics, because it won't stick. But you can add details with yarn by just using this needle and poking it in. And if you have different color wool, you can make little eyes and other things. So there you go. There's our little gingerbread man. You could put a little ribbon through the top and hang it if you wanted to turn it into something to put in your window or on a tree. And that's our project. If you want to keep experimenting, we do have some other three-dimensional versions of our woolly creations, and this would be something where you'd take the wool and work more three-dimensionally. So something else to look at if you're interested in this project. Thanks, everybody.